Blog Talk Radio.
Yes, yes, yes. This is another episode of Wake Up African People, and we have the great Dr. Walter Williams. I think we have him in SKU coming on tonight, and our show tonight is the first European institution of learning, and church and institution of learning. Sorry about that. And we have Astro Black here. Brother Bartley is supposed to be chiming on in. And the great Dr. Walter Williams is going to lay this information out for you tonight. And I hope that you can get it, understand it, and internalize it. And we're going to be bringing him on. Doctor, are you with us? Dr. Williams? Okay, that's not Dr. Williams' number. Okay. Astro Black, you with us?
Right here, brothers and sisters. Good evening. Astro Ra in full effect.
Okay, yes. Astro Ra. It's hard for me to change over to that new name. I want to see what's going on with the doc. So go ahead and keep the people entertained while I check him out and see what's holding him up.
Yeah, good evening, brothers and sisters. Stay strong, stay black. There's a lot going on out here. But it's important for us to keep our eyes open and our mind and our minds awake. In the 21st century, as our ancestors are reaching out to us. Back to our glorious and divine ancestry.
Area code 8558. Okay, let me put him off. I think we done had some type of mix-up with time, with the time zone. Let me see if this is him.
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Your number came. Yeah, your phone number didn't come up. It just was 1111111. Because I was looking for your phone number.
I know, but I've been saying I'm here all along ever since you've been looking for me.
You was hiding in cyberspace.
No. You can't hear good.
Yeah. Okay. We got the great Dr. Walter Williams with us tonight. One of the most preeminent scholars, as far as I am concerned, to my opinion, today. And he has a lot of information that's going to set you free and set your mind free from this prison that we call religion, that has our people going around in circles. And it's me, the Truth Doctor, Astro Black. I believe Brother Bartley is going to be chiming in. I don't see his number up here. Let me see if this is him right here. Is this you, Brother Bartley?
Yes, sir. How are you doing, brother?
Yes, I'm doing well. And we have the great doctor and me, you, Brother Astro Ra, are getting ready to let the doctor do his thing tonight. But I want to present this first question to the doctor. I want to ask him, a lot of people are going around saying that the Ethiopian church, black people, and then Marcus Garvey did tell them to turn their faces to the gods of Ethiopia. And they're saying that this church here in Ethiopia, in Lalibela, the one made out of a cross, is the oldest church that there is made to Christendom. And we want you to take us on a ride on the evolution of these churches. And the mic is yours, Doc.
Well, you're talking about Lalibela, Ethiopia, and you're talking about the 11 rock-hewn churches that are built in the ground there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
Place, Christianity did not start in Ethiopia. That's number one. So take that out of the equation. Set aside what Marcus Garvey said about Ethiopia, because he was misinformed. So we don't want to continue that misinformation being out in our African community. We don't want that. So set that aside. That's a different subject altogether. Okay? Now, you're going to focus instead on Northeast Africa. Misnomer today and called the Middle East. In Northeast Africa, you find the countries of Turkey, Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait. You find Yemen. You find Syria. You find Palestine, etc., etc. So that is called a misnomer today to call the Middle East. You're talking about the world's first built church on planet Earth. It was built in Constantinople, Turkey, known as Istanbul, Turkey today. That church was commissioned to be built by Justinian, the Byzantine emperor, and his wife Theodora in 532. They commissioned African architects to design it and African builders to build it. That church also served not only as the world's first Christian church, it served as an institution, the world's first institution for the European. It's in 532, built in 532, started in 532, finished in 5 years later, 537. Okay? So that's where we have to start the understanding of the world's first Christian church ever being built on planet Earth. There in Constantinople, Turkey, known as Istanbul, Turkey, the Church of Hagia Sophia, the Church of the Virgin Mary, and the Church of Christ. So that's the name of the church. The Church of Hagia Sophia, the Church of the Holy Wisdom, which is another name for Christ. You see? So you got to take it from that point and start your studies there. Don't go into Ethiopia, because, see, Christianity did not come to Ethiopia until the middle of the 19th century. And that's a different history altogether. So I just want to clear that up for you.
Okay. And, Doc, it also says, I was reading, and I know that the information is not accurate, but I want to put it out here so you can explain it to the people. And it says that the Church of Alexandria in Egypt is 1,900 years old. Is that true?
No, it wasn't no church in Alexandria, Egypt.
The Coptic
the world's
church.
first church, like I mentioned, was built in Constantinople, Turkey, known as Istanbul, Turkey, known as the Church of Hagia Sophia, the Church of the Holy Wisdom, commissioned to be built by Justinian and his wife Theodora, commissioned African architects to design it and African builders to build it. That became your first Christian church on planet Earth. So that information about Alexandria is not true. you have to, when you hear stuff like that, go and do your research and see if what you have been told is right. That's how you do that. And then that will enhance and expand your scholarship as you're doing it. You see? Have you read my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity and the Historical Origin of Islam?
Yes, sir. I've read the historical Christianity, and now I'm in like a quarter of the way in the historical origin of Islam.
If you read my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, then that question would never have been asked about, was there a Christian church in Alexandria, Egypt? No.
Yes, but I read your book, and the reason why I'm asking you that question is to get you to say the truth so the people can hear it coming from you. Because I know it's not to be the truth.
I just got through saying it. I told you the truth.
Yes.
Where the world's first Christian church was built.
In
Constantinople, Turkey, known as Istanbul, Turkey today, 532, finishing 537. December the 29th, 537. That's when they finished it. You see?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first seat of Christianity, the first Christian church. Today, over in Turkey, the church is still standing. And it is a museum today. They converted it. The United States government converted that church building in 1934 to a museum. If you get my book, The Historical Origin of Islam, on the very front cover of that book, you'll see a picture of the Hagia Sophia with those minarets on there. Because when Martin II came in and broke through the double-walled city of Constantinople in 1453, they used that church of the Hagia Sophia as a prototype for the future buildings of mosques. So that's what you'll see on the front cover.
Yes, sir. Mayat Hotep, my brother.
Mayat Hotep. Was this Brother Bartley?
Yes, sir. That's who it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just on the internet looking at the Hagia Sophia. That is one magnificent building.
That's correct.
Yeah, they said that, like you said, they turned it into a museum, but it also was the mosque.
Well, that was the first physical mosque. They used that building as a prototype to build the first building that they considered to be a mosque. Now, that's also the design of the Hagia Sophia that you saw on the internet and that you will see on the front cover of my book, The Historical Origin of Islam. It's also used all over the world for Capitol buildings. You see? You look at Washington, D.C., the building there in Washington, D.C., that houses your government officials and so forth and so on. It is a replica and a prototype and a replica of the Hagia Sophia right there. And you go to any capital of a state, and you find that type of building. They call it the State House or the State Building. And it looks just like and designed after the Hagia Sophia.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the church was built by the Egyptian architects, right?
Ancient Egyptian architects and builders.
Ancient Egyptian architects. And you're saying that it's used in the state buildings. So, like the other Egyptian architects, it's also used in that capacity also.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about the model for the Capitol buildings and stuff like that.
I'm saying to you that the Hagia Sophia, as you see it today, was used as a prototype model for capitals all over the world. Where if you go into Illinois, there's a capital of Illinois. That building that's in Illinois is designed after the Hagia Sophia. If you go into Michigan, the capital of Michigan, you see the same thing. If you go into New Jersey, New York, anywhere you go, any place in the world, you're going to find and see that type of building in the capital of the city or the country or the state or whatever the case might be, wherever you go throughout the world. You'll see that design. It's there.
Well, Doctor, now, how did the Ethiopians, and we see these white icons of the Jesus and Mary, Serapis and Mary, or Jesus and Mary, all around the churches. How did the Ethiopians manage to get a black one in their church?
What church are you talking about?
I see the Ethiopian church, in Liabella, and I've seen today. I was watching a video, and they had the image of a black Christ, and then I watched the Ethiopians at the Holy Church of the Sepulchre in Jerusalem. They had a white one, and then we know that they say that the Pope bows down to a black Madonna down in the basement. How did these things get mixed up? Like, some people have a black one, some people have a white one. When did that happen?
That's just the preference of the people. Now, you're going back to Ethiopia. Those churches in Liabella, Ethiopia, those 11 rock-hewn churches, they were not churches when they were built. They were temples, okay, dedicated to the patriarch of the Zagwe tribe of Ethiopia. They began to build those rock-hewn churches in 1135, and they continued to build those churches individually for 135 years until 1270. If you go down in those churches, they're all interlocking with each other. You can go from one to the other, but they were not originally built as churches. It was built as temples dedicated to the patriarch of the Zagwe family. Okay, and the last one in the family was Lalibela. Okay, so therefore they were not built originally for Christianity, because, like I said before, when Christianity came in as strongly in 1855 after the coronation of Theodore II, the British made Theodore II the emperor of Ethiopia, and that's when they began to send missionaries in from the Church of England, send missionaries into Ethiopia, and that's when they renamed. They took the temples and made them churches. That's what happened. You see. So that's a part of that history of what you see over there. So don't be dismayed by what you see now. But you got to know some prior history that leads up to that. What causes that to come about? You see, you have to know what causes certain things to come about historically. Then you can get a clear, good picture of what you're looking at. See? So that would be my answer to you.
And the Gutenberg was the Bible that was first written Bible, and you said that in your book. And
I never said that in my book.
Oh well, it was the first printed Bible, right?
No. Listen, I didn't say that. That's not in my book.
Okay.
You have to, brother. You have to read and make notes, and you got to what you read and make notes on. You got to retain in your memory, and you got to put dates. You got to put time, people, places, and events, and dates, and when you put that in your mind, because if you don't, then you're gonna get confused. You're gonna be receiving lots of information, and you're gonna be just wallowing around in all that confused information because you're not putting it together. You got to hook it up and put it together and string it together where you can build something. Otherwise, like I said, you got to go every study a subject that you learn and want to study. You got to find the origin of that study, and that will give you your foundation. You cannot no longer go out here willy-nilly anymore. You see, just running by the seat of your pants. You can't do that anymore. You got to study constructively. And once you do that on a constructive basis, but you got to retain what you are studying. You got to take time to do one subject at a time until you build and internalize that subject. And if it takes you to get to read 10, 15 books on that subject, so be it. But you're taking notes, okay? And you're eliminating things that are not factual on that subject. And then when you hear and someone else speak about that subject, then you'll know the subject to make corrections if needed. You see? So you please read my book and make notes. Retain what you read. Understand and internalize what you read. If you have a problem with what you see, if you in my book and read in my book, if you don't understand it, then call me. You have my phone number. I'll be glad to straighten out the situation for you. But you have to study and retain notes, and you got to retain those notes in your mind. You got to memorize them. You got to memorize dates. If you're going to be a historian, if you're going to talk about history, you're going to have to retain dates, time, people, places, and events. You're going to have to do that. Other than that, you're just doing barbershop talk, pool room talk, and we don't need that in our community anymore. No, I didn't say anything about no Gutenberg Bible. No. Johannes Gutenberg created the world's first printing press for the Europeans because the Chinese had a printing press with movable print in the 11th and 12th century. But Johannes Gutenberg used and invented a printing press in 1439 with movable print for the European community. And that was at the beginning of the Renaissance era of Europe, the Age of Learning, 15th century. So you have to understand that.
So the date that the first Bible was printed, that's what I'm looking for, because I have a question that's attached to it.
Okay, the first Bible was printed in 1475. Printed
by whom?
Just a moment, we'll get to that. Printed in 1475 in Bologna, Italy, in Italy. Okay, the country Italy, the town, the city Bologna, Italy. 1475, using the Greek alphabet to print that Bible, using the material of Moses' Maimon called Maimonides as the material for the printing of that Bible. You had three people who used Maimonides' material to formulate that Bible, and that's one, Johannes Reuchlin, and two of his Italian peers, Marcello Ficino, Pico della Mirandola. Those three men used the writings of Maimonides to formulate and create that Bible. And when that Bible was printed in 1475, using Johannes Gutenberg's printing press to do it, it was called the Hebrew Bible. You see? And at that time, in 1475, the Roman Catholic Church was only 30 years old, and they had no literature for their object. The object of Christianity is Jesus the Christ. That's the object of Christianity. They had no literature for that. See? So when that Bible came out, Johannes Reuchlin translated that Bible from Greek to Latin and gave a copy to Leo X, who was the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church at that time. See, so you have to understand what was going on there. Okay, So that is a short history of the Bible, the world's first printed Bible, 1475.
Okay. Well, this is the question I wanted to attach to it, because a lot of people say that the Ethiopian Bible with the Book of Enoch and all that in it was written, was older than the original Bible, and they try to say that's the one. Who wrote the Ethiopian Bible for them and added the Book of Enoch and all that stuff in it?
What year was it?
The Ethiopian Bible with the Book of Enoch is in their Bible.
What year?
I don't exactly know the year, Doc. I'm just asking you a question.
Don't bring me nothing that you don't know the year on it, because that's not true. I keep telling you over and over and over again. Christianity did not come to Ethiopia, Abyssinia, until the middle of the 19th century. Okay? I keep telling you that. It was the Church of England who sent missionaries in there. Samuel Gobat, L.T. Craft, Dr. L.T. Craft, Martin Platt, C.W. Eisenberg. All those men made a part of and the cause of Christianity, the Christian missionaries to come in there for the very first time. So that's not true. I told you when the world's first printed Bible was printed in 1475. Okay? They used the printing press of Johannes Gutenberg, who had sold his printing press because he needed money. He borrowed money from a capitalist goldsmith by the name of Johannes Fuss, F-U-S-T, and with a high interest rate, a usury tax, which is the interest rate. He couldn't pay it back. Johannes Fuss confiscated that printing press, and Johannes Gutenberg went to work for him, because that was the beginning of the Renaissance era coming into Europe. Europeans was beginning to come out of the Dark Ages into the light of learning, and they began to create schools for the masses of Europeans. The masses of Europeans in the 15th century could not read or write. Only a few of them could do that. So the printing press was right on time. And also the seat of Christianity had been transferred out of Constantinople, out of the churches of Hagia Sophia, in 1439 by John VIII, who went into Florence, Italy, as a curia there. The word C-U-R-I-A means college. And he transferred that seat of Christianity into Europe because it was imminent that the Ottoman Turks were going to come through the double-walled city of Constantinople and take over and seize the Hagia Sophia, which they did. Muhammad II did that in 1453, 14 years after John VIII went to Florence, Italy, at the Curia to relinquish what is known as the donation of Constantine, to make way for the seat of Christianity to be moved out of northeast Africa into Europe. Eugenius IV and Nicholas V went on the outskirts of Rome over the catacombs and dug up all of those graves that was buried down in the ground. They call it the catacombs. That's where the Italians buried their dead. They dug it all up to make way for the coming of what you see today as the Vatican. The Vatican over there today, as you see it, is nothing but a replica of the double-walled city of Constantinople. The Vatican today is a double-walled city also. You see? And so the Europeans and the capitalists knew that here you have the seed of Christianity being moved into Europe. So they got ahead of the game because Christianity was going to be flourishing in Europe, but only one entity to control that Christianity as a religion, and that would have been the Roman Catholic Church. And the Catholics said, wait, we don't want this, you see? So they created this Bible. First they got the printing press. Johannes Fuss got the printing press from Johannes Gutenberg. After Fuss loaned Gutenberg money that he couldn't pay back, he confiscated that printing press. And with the seed of Christianity being in Europe, and the Europeans are setting up schools in Europe, and they knew that it was time that the Europeans, the masters of the Europeans, will be reading and writing and learning how to read and write in those schools. So they was getting ahead of the game. See, the capitalists. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so therefore, they got Johannes Ruslan, and he got connected with two of his Italian peers, Marcello Ficino, Pico della Mirandola, and they all collaborated on the making and the creation of the world's first printed Bible in 1475, using the material of Moses Maimon called Maimonides. The first printing of a Bible was in Italy, in the city called Bologna, using what is known as the Greek alphabet to do that. And that Bible, when it was printed, it was called the Hebrew Bible, that left the Roman Catholic Church without any literature for their object. The object of Christianity is Jesus the Christ. So that infuriated the Roman Catholic Church. So in 1500, a pope by the name of Alexander VI commissioned a homosexual ex-Roman Catholic priest by the name of Desiderius Erasmus, who at that time had quit the priesthood and became a playwright. He produced Enchiridion, Adages, and Praise of Folly. Those are his three plays that he created over there. Pope Alexander VI commissioned him to write something on the object of Christianity, which writes something on the object of Jesus the Christ. And he set out to do just that. And in 1516, it took him 16 years. In 1516, he came out with the Novum Instrumentum. In 1519, the Novum Instrumentum was changed to the Novum Testamentum. In 1535, it was changed to the New Testament. This is history I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
See? So the word novum means new. Instrument means testament. And testamentum means the new Novum Testamentum, or the New Testament. You see? And that was done, it first came out in 1516, created by, first propounded by Desiderius Erasmus. You see? So that's how that came about. Now, that was in 1516, right? 15, right. 17, and 19, who came out on the scene? Martin Luther.
Right.
Coming out on the scene to do what? To bring an argument against the Roman Catholic Church. So he nailed 95 reform theses on the church door in Wittenberg, Germany, for the Roman Catholic Church to change, because they had done things and had been doing things that were detrimental to the masses of people. So what happened? Martin Luther began what is known as the Protestant movement. He was financed by the capitalists, who are known today as Jews.
Mm-hmm.
They financed him to do that. on purpose to break up all that single power of the Roman Catholic Church. They didn't want the Roman Catholic Church to have all that power over in Europe. So they said, okay, we're going to break this up. So we're going to have a Protestant movement. In other words, anybody can get a church and be a preacher and so forth and so on. You don't have to get Christianity from one source, the Roman Catholic Church. So all that's history I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, as I talk, I give you dates, time, people, places, and events. I don't go by saying, well, I think, or maybe, or I think I read this. You can't do that. You're going to have to study now.
Well, one thing for sure, Brother Williams, you have good memory.
I have to, because I'm a historian.
You got a photographic memory. I never encountered nobody with the memory that you have.
Well, thank you.
Well, Doc, that's why we have you on a radio show. You've been doing this
you wear me out on the radio show. If you don't study now, I want you to.
You've been doing this. You've been doing this for 40 years. We just been reading your book.
Okay, but you talk to me. This is not your first time talking about. I want you to start studying and retaining what you study. That's all I ask you to do.
Yeah, but Doc, we interview people on the radio and we try to study a lot of different things. I mean, we're not.
That's where the confusion come in, Akbar. That's where the confusion come in. You're studying.
Well, we're not. That's why we're trying to get you to straighten out all the confusion. We're not in debt, because if I knew all this history, then I'd be doing the show myself. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have to call on your expertise to come do the show.
You have the wrong attitude and wrong feelings about this. First place, I'm giving you a guide to how to study. Stop reading a lot of books. When you read a lot of books, they all are telling you good things. They sound good. They're giving you good information. But then you get confused in all the information that you're taking in, because you don't know where to start this information. You see, you study with one direction, one subject at a time, until you can master that subject by way of knowing and remembering dates, time, people, places, and events that is connected to that subject. That's how you do it. Other than that, you're going to be confused. See? Everybody that you interview on the radio, all your guests, got good information, but it's not connected. So you have to find out who direction you want to get your information from that will give you the most benefits from that information, and the correct information. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, but see, and your expertise, Doc.
But
your information. Let me finish, Doc. Your information or your expertise is just a small part of history. Everybody else has their ideal on how everything goes, or how their dates or whatever they do. And the reason why we brought you on the show is for you to straighten it out, because we're not historians on the subject.
I can't straighten this out like that.
Well, it's your third show. So we're trying to get it going where we can put it all together and read your book. I purchased the books.
No. Every time I hear you say "but," that means that you don't understand what I'm saying. When a person butts you, say, well, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but they don't understand what you're talking about. You see, I can't do this over the air. I can't do this on a radio show. It can't be done. Okay? You got to, if you're going to study with me, you got to listen to me only until you find me wrong. It's like, look, I used to be a professional jazz saxophonist. Young guys used to come up to me and say, hey, man, I want to play some jazz. I said, what instrument you play? I play the saxophone. said, who do you want to play like? They say, I want to play like Charlie Parker. I said, well, then what you do, you get you every Charlie Parker record that you can find and listen to nobody but Charlie Parker until you get a concept. And once you get your concept of what is being played and how jazz is to be played and what you're listening to, then you can go off and listen to anybody. See? Then when you listen to other people, you know what they're playing and what they're saying. And then in the history's case, you listen to other people, then you know whether they know what they're talking about by way of telling the truth and bringing forth facts. See? Facts are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions. Silence dispute supersedes predictions and facts always in the argument. But you've got to know the facts. See? I'm just telling you something for your own self. Because I can't do what you want me to do. I'm not going to allow myself to do that. Because you will not take notes. You will not retain what I told you. You won't do that, Brother Akbar. So I'm wasting my time. I'm just sitting up here practicing with you.
Well, it's people
my mind.
And if people are listening to what you have to say on the radio other than me, it's not a waste of time as far as I'm concerned.
I understand. I want the people to listen. I want our people in the African community to grow in knowledge. Okay?
Because this show is not just about Brother Akbar. It's about the audience that's out there that may be interested, that may be able to retain this information better than me or even you.
Fine. That's what I want. I'm looking for the people like that. I want somebody.
So this show ain't about Brother Akbar retaining it. It's about the audience. That's why I did the radio show, for the audience to get the information from our scholars that want to give it up willingly. If not, what can we do?
I'll tell you again. I don't mind. I love my people. I don't mind giving information. But I don't like to be asked the same thing over again when I done told you maybe a month or so ago on this subject.
But
I'll tell you about that.
It's not just me listening, Doc. I'm just on the radio trying to interview you so people can get your information. That's the reason why I have you on. I mean,
okay.
It's not just me. It's thousands of people. There's over 1,500 people listen to your last show. 1,500 just on my site's not that big yet.
Well, let them call up. Let the people call up if they want to ask some questions. No problem. If I know the answer, I'll be glad to give.
We want Astro Black to come in because we haven't had him to ask you some questions. Astro Black, are you there?
His name is Astro Ra. That's the reason why he's not answering you.
Yes, sir. Sisters and brothers, Astro Ra right here. How are you doing out there, Dr. Williams?
Fine. Astro Ra, how you doing?
All right. I want to thank you for blessing us with your presence and your insight and wisdom.
Welcome.
I kind of wanted to deviate slightly from the course of the conversation. I actually had a question that I asked during the last interview that we didn't have a chance to get into. That I wanted to get your insight on, if you can, be so generous as to take a stab at it. And just with all of these of the historical and the political chain of events that have happened centering around ancient African peoples, I wanted to fast forward to the 21st century, where we're seeing the renewing the exasperation of white supremacy and imperialism upon African peoples, whether spiritually, culturally, socially, religiously, and quite literally physically. But I wanted to get your analysis on some of the geopolitical happenings that are happening right now in the 21st century in Africa regarding the invasive elements of the CIA-funded Boko Haram in Nigeria, for instance, and the reduction of Libya as a failed state, and also what we're seeing is the incidents of biological warfare in new African republics like Sierra Leone and Libya.
Brother Astro Rod, that's not my subject. That's politics. I don't deal with that. Politics is not my subject. So you have to ask someone else that question. I can't give you the answer. So that's not my subject, so I don't deal with that. I only deal with my subject.
Okay. Well, this is new scholarship for a lot of people. And people have to, I think people are wrestling with the fact that whole, the old scholarship is finished. So we're talking about new scholarship. That means that the old scholarship is going to die a horrible death because so much money has been made off of the old scholarship. So with your new scholarship, that's going to put a dent in a lot of people's pockets.
Well, now, what are you calling old scholarship, Brother Bartley?
Okay, when you talk about ancient Egypt, okay, you're talking about, say, like John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, their scholarship took us to a certain point.
Correct.
But now, your new scholarship has come along and kind of like that's easing out of the picture because people are beginning to see that there's something beyond what the old scholarship was bringing to them.
Okay.
In terms of dates, in terms of other historical facts.
That's true. Dr. Dan, Dr. Clark, Chika Diop, Chancellor Williams, George G.M. James, all those scholars laid the foundation for a Walter Williams to step upon. Mm-hmm. So they did what they thought was best, and they did the best they could. So I will never, ever knock them. I love them, and I use some of their scholarship, okay? But I went further. You have to grow. So therefore, I went further in the growth of human history, and I dug a little deeper. That's just like when I was a boy. My mother told me that if I'll be a good boy, that Santa Claus would bring me some toys at Christmas. I believed that. Until one day, as I was growing up, I found in my closet at home the toys that my mother was going to set out under the tree. So therefore, I realized that my mother was Santa Claus, and I stopped believing in Santa Claus from that point on. In other words, I grew. So we, as an African people, we're going to have to grow from one point that you may be at a point of study, that you're going to have to expand that into new growth and begin to grow as a people. So this is what my message is all about. We as a people, we're going to have to grow. We can no longer call ourselves Negro, Black, and African Americans anymore. Why? Because those names are not and cannot be found on the world map of human geography. There's no Negro land, no Black land, and no African American land. The only thing that's attached to those names, there's a history attached to every name that you identify yourself with. The only history that's attached to Negro, Black, and African American is one's ancestors who has been enslaved in the United States of America. In other words, you cannot leave the perimeter or the confines of the United States of America with those names. So therefore, we're going to have to come in to an expanded knowledge of understanding who our ancestors are. We're going to have to break through the wall of slavery and find our way back to ancient Egypt, to our ancestors, to our greatness as a people. I saw the movie Selma. In the movie Selma, this woman was walking with Coretta Scott King in the movie. And she said, we came from a great people, a people who brought civilization to the world. That's what she told Coretta Scott King as she was walking with her. Now, those great people that she was talking about, without saying it, were the ancient Egyptians, who brought civilization to the world. That's true. The civilization that's being enjoyed by all of the peoples throughout the world, no matter what race, creed, or color that they may be, came from the culture of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So we're going to have to get back and identify with that. That's our greatness. When you identify yourself as an African ancient Egyptian, identify with your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians who built the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and left us an immortal legacy in doing that, created the alphabet, domesticating the earth, domesticating animals, farming, agriculture, animal husbandry, mathematics, the wheel, cosmetics, the whole bit. When you get back to that, then and identify yourself, not as black. You cannot be black anymore. That's over with for your expansion. Now, you can call yourself black all you want to. I'm telling you how to get out of it. You identify with your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, and once you identify yourself as an African ancient Egyptian, guess what happened to white supremacy? It collapsed. It's over with. White supremacy is over with. Number one. Number two, you're going to have to divest as an African people. We're going to have to divest ourselves out of and away from all religions, no matter what name that you are calling this religion. No human on earth was born with a religion. You're going to have to individually know who you are as a human being. What was given to you when you came out of your mother's womb, out of her body, attached to her umbilical cord. That umbilical cord was cut to separate you from your mother, and you was on your own at that time as a human being. So therefore, coming out of your mother's womb, you have to understand that you was given life and not a religion. It was man who gave you a religion. No human on earth was born coming out of their mother's womb smoking cigarettes, using alcohol, tobacco, or had a religion. You have to understand that. So we need to divest ourselves from all religions, because religions will give you side effects. That's just like when you go to the doctor and you're ill. The doctor find out what your illness is about, and he begins to prescribe medicine to try to take care of that illness that you come into his office with. That medicine that he's prescribing to you is going to give you side effects. So the same thing with religions. All religions will give the individual who embraces religion side effects. First side effect is confusion. You don't even know who you are as a human being. Because when you say, I'm a Christian, a Muslim, a black, Hebrew, Israelite, a Jew, a Buddhist, or whatever the case might be, you're telling me that you don't know who you are as a human being. You don't know what was given to you at the time of your birth. See? So therefore, you have to understand that you were not given a religion at the time of your birth, coming out of your mother's womb, that you was given life. Very simple. And that you're going to have to divest yourself away from this confusion. The second side effect, it limits your thinking. All religions limits one's thinking. You cannot think because you have become a slave to these various religions. You see, religions will put a human being in bondage. You sit up in the pews of a church as a Christian, and you give away all your spiritual power to a dead white man on the cross called Jesus the Christ. that don't even look like you. Don't even look like any member of your family. Don't even look like old Reverend Chicken Wing, who's encouraging you to believe in this foolishness. So therefore, you are in bondage. You put your own self in bondage out of ignorance, out of limited thinking. You don't know who you are.
You're right.
Okay? So therefore, that's the second side effect. The third side effect is animation. You listen to the stories that comes out of the preacher's mouth about during the time of Easter, for instance, or Christmas, for instance, that Jesus was born in a manger, that his mother and his father Joseph, they went into the inn to get a room, and the innkeeper said, "We have no room in the inn," and that they went out in the wilderness and found a manger and made a crib for baby Jesus, and 3 wise men appeared from the east. All that's a story based on mythology. But when the believer hears that story, he begins to animate that in his subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And then they tell you about Jesus crucified on the cross. And you can see this Jesus carrying his cross and being crucified and nailed to a cross, and so forth. So you begin to animate that, and you store it in your subconscious mind, and it superimposes on you whenever you need it. See, when the time of the year come around for Easter and Christmas, you bring all this animation out of your subconscious mind. You see, that's the third side effect. Fourth side effect is fear. They tell you if you don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you're going to die and go to hell. So you know, and they tell you that God is going to send His wrath on you and all that kind of foolishness out of fear. That's fear. So those are the side effects. So we have to know exactly what is been happening or has been happening to us as an African people. We're going to divest ourselves from all religions. We're going to have to stop going to these churches, worshiping our enemy on the cross. Okay? That's that white image up there. Because what you're doing, you're giving power. Every time you go in and we walk into these churches, our people in the African community walk into these churches, you're giving power because you're worshiping the white man. You're giving him power. You're giving him the power of being superior over you. That's what you're promoting, white superiority. And you're promoting African inferiority. That's what you're doing. You're making your own self inferior.
You're right, Doc.
Okay?
I
so
agree
when
with
you
that.
Go ahead.
I agree with you. That's
okay.
so true. Because you can feel it in your own life. You can feel it.
It's right before your face, right before your eyes. You look around your community, your people are going in these churches every day, every week. You know, every weekend. They're there. These ministers are encouraging. The ministers in our community are our worst enemy. They are our worst enemy. They are our enemy because they keep encouraging you to bow down to an image that don't even look like you. It don't even look like him. You keep calling this white man your God. You go in there. They got a group there in Washington today. Over there praying. They got a group of women. They're over there praying to God to allow and get Mitch McConnell to bring a vote on the Senate floor to confirm Loretta Lynch as our new Attorney General.
Mm.
So they go in there and they pray. Praying is a form of begging. If you don't believe it, look up praying in the dictionary. It says a form of begging. That's what it says. Okay? So therefore they go in there and they pray to a God that you've never seen. It's invisible. Okay? And then they relate this God, because they've been trained to relate this God to this image on this dead white man on the cross called Jesus Christ. So they think that this God that they're praying to and Jesus, the Christ, is one and the same. So they go in there, but see, this Jesus Christ looks like He looks just like Mr. McConnell and the rest of the Europeans. So they go in there and they beg this white image on the cross, please let white Mr. McConnell to bring a vote on the Senate floor to confirm Loretta Lynch. So after they get through praying and begging, they come right out and they begin to beg this white man called Mitch McConnell. So why you do that? Why don't you go in there and pray and then walk away from it and let your prayers do the work for you?
Mm-hmm.
You see? So it don't make sense. So we're going to have to grow out of this confusion as a people. 100 years from now, if we don't change, I'm giving you the formula to change. But there are quantum leaps that I'm giving you. It has to be done. A movement has to start to do just what I'm saying.
You're right. Because it won't happen no other way.
That's correct. I can't do it. You can't do it by yourself.
No. It don't happen like that.
No. You got to get people like Astra Ra and those young people out there to understand what has happened to them, what has happened to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, and start from that point. But you got to get some knowledge. You got to have knowledge to do that. You can't do it by violence. You can't do it by getting mad and cursing people. You can't do that. See, you got to have knowledge to do this. That's like Mahatma Gandhi. How did he get the British out of India? He told the British people to ignore the British. The British said, we're going to set up a curfew. All Indians have to be off the street by 10 o'clock. Mahatma Gandhi said, don't pay that no mind. You know, they can't arrest and put everybody in India in jail. And everything that the British brought up said, we want you people to do this. They said, ignore all of that. Damn what he said. And they did that. And the British said, hey, we're not getting any place. And they packed up and left. All you got to do is change your mind. You don't have to pick up. You don't have to be mad at the white man. You don't have to have no violence against him, because you're not going to win anyway if you try to be violent against him. He got the biggest bomb, all the airplanes, the guns, tanks, ships. He studied warfare 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week in the Pentagon. So we as a people don't even own a hairpin factory.
We can't even make a bullet.
Hey, so you don't want to. That's not in our DNA. That's not in our spiritual consciousness for violence. That's not it. You see? You know, I don't want to hurt no one. You see? Just get you some knowledge.
Well, see, Doc, that was one of the reasons why the European came down on our ancient ancestors, because we were so knowledgeable and peaceful. And they saw the opportunity to take advantage of these people and make them worship them. So, I mean, it's until we begin to produce and become a people that want power. We don't want power. We're afraid of power, number one. So until we start doing the things that's going to make us powerful, we're still going to be our children, grandchildren, and so forth going to be singing the same song that we're singing.
Well, see, Brother Bartley, is this. Knowledge is power. That's where power is. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Okay? One of the things that brought our ancestors down is that our ancestors, the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, gave away their gods, translated and transformed their gods into the white race. That's what did it. When they walked away and gave our gods, the attributes of our gods and goddesses, to the European people that were occupying Egypt, that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Well, that's why we're in the condition we're in right now.
Of course you are, but you got to study your way out of it.
Absolutely.
You got to study. You can't go out here and fly on the seat of your pants. You got to sit down and formulate this stuff subject by subject, date by date. You got to memorize all this stuff. So when you see young people, you can explain to them what happened to them and give them dates, time, people, places, and events to do that. You see, this is what I'm talking about. See, if you're confused, how you going? You're going to do nothing but pass confusion on to the next person.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of it is out here, believe me.
Right. See, and see, so if I'm harsh, good. Maybe that'll shake people up. Maybe that'll make them do better. You see? So you have to understand what is before you. And you got to study. See, another thing, people do not know history. They don't know European history. You have to study European history in order to know who you're dealing with. You're dealing with the European. So you got to know his history, as well as your own ancestors' history.
That's right.
See? Then you are in control.
You got to know everybody's history.
No. Just listen to what I'm saying. You have to know the European history. You have to know a little of the beginning of a racist history. Okay? You got to know some Indian history. You got to know their beginning history. Just the beginning. You got to know the beginning of the Chinese history. You got to know the beginning of European history. And you got to know the beginning of our African ancestors, ancient Egyptians' history. Then you have a good foundation of understanding world history. Because these are the major players in world history. And you got to discern and know mythology when you see it. See? You got to know what's being put upon you. You got to study that. See? I wouldn't know anything about the Bible if I didn't say, but you cannot walk into the Bible. You cannot walk into a religion and learn about it inside of the Bible or inside of a religion, because everything is prepared for you to sound good to you, to make you like it. You see? Because it's all made on purpose to do just that. You have to stay on the outside and study about the Bible. You have to stay on the outside of these various religions and study them. Then you know about them. Then you know the historical origin of them. But you go inside and start talking about what's inside. No, you can't do that. See? You got to start out with the world's first printed Bible before you can get to these other Bible of Enoch, and so forth and so on. The Book of Esther and all that kind of that's all later stuff. That's apocryphal literature. See? But you got to know all about the Bible from its beginning. How did it first appear on earth? Who brought it forth to be printed as a Bible? What was in the Bible? What was the contents of it? What alphabet was it printed in? What country was it printed in? What city in that country was it printed in? What was the name of that Bible? See? Before it became the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible today contains two books, two sets of literature, the Old Testament and the New Testament, under one cover. You got to find out who put that book under one cover, what year, what's the name of the person, and so forth and so on. All that's history. You see? That's the reason why when I get on talk radio show, ministers don't call up to challenge me. Because I'm going to ask him questions he can't answer. And I know he can't answer it.
Yeah, I noticed that. No, they won't call. And a lot of these so-called scholars, they won't call either.
No. Okay, because I'm going to ask them questions. If they try to challenge me, if you come to me like a student that you want to learn, I'll teach you everything that I know. And see, I don't think that I know everything. I don't know everything. I'm a student also. I'm learning every day. I study every day. I practice. Just like you say, oh, Dr. Williams, you have a remarkable mind for remembering things. You know how to do that, Brother Bartley? I practice. Just like a musician. When I was a musician, in order for me to play the saxophone, to be good at playing that saxophone, I had to practice every day. I can't just pick up the saxophone after being a month or two off and then start playing. No, it don't work that way. I practice every day some type of subject. I have to recall names that's attached to those subjects, dates, and things like that. I can do all of that.
What's your favorite subject?
Religion.
Okay.
And everything is attached to religion. The three major Western religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The two Bibles that's on the one cover, the Old and the New Testament, the Quran, and the Sefer Torah. That's my subject.
Okay.
And ancient Egypt. Let me put that in there.
Okay.
And European history. Let me put that in there. So that's my subject. Those are my subjects.
Mm-hmm. Well, that just about covers of every aspect of our life, especially religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation of the civilization that we live in.
No, religion not the foundation of civilization. Foundation of civilization is your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. They created and made the foundation for civilization. Don't give it to no religion. Religions are all man-made, based on mythology. So why would you give the foundation of civilization to something that's man-made and is made out of mythology, which is translated into lies? Well,
the lie is what we're living under. The lie right now.
You're trying to get out from the lies. You're trying to understand where the lies are and what the lies are, to try to eliminate them. Divest yourself from all religions. I've told you that.
Yes, sir.
But don't say that religion is the foundation. Our ancient ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, created the foundation for civilization, not no religion. Don't do that.
Well, let's put it this way. I used the wrong words. The foundation of this civilization is built on the religion of Christianity.
No, you can say that, but Christianity is built off of what? Mythology.
Right.
So therefore, you have to phrase it a little different. You can say that the culture that is being practiced and used in the United States of America, they use as the foundation of that culture a Judeo-Christian ideology. And the Judeo-Christian ideology is based off of mythology.
Right.
Okay? Lies and deceit. You see? Let me tell you the foundation, what the Europeans have built themselves a culture off of. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Lies, deceit, murder, injustice, corruption, greed, terrorism, militarism, sexism, racism, slavery, exploitation, religion, mythology, and perverted scholarship.
Okay, that's about 15 things.
15 items.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah. That's 15, could be even more, but
You can add. You got room right there to add some more. Add as many as you can think of.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But really what I'm trying to say is that this civilization and the culture that we live in.
This is no civilization. This is existence.
Well,
Europeans do not have a civilization. Okay? Because our ancestors is tried to show them how to be a civilized people for 2,347 years. That includes the year 2015. Ever since Alexander the Greek came into Egypt in 332 BC. That was 2,347 years ago, with the year 2015. Been trying to teach them how to be a civilized and civil people. They came in, they had no alphabet, they had no institution, they were void of understanding how to be a civil people. So our ancestors have been trying to teach them how to do that for 2,347 years. And they still haven't gotten it. Okay? So therefore, that, what I just said, you have to understand that. So you're not dealing with a people who really wants to be civilized because they don't practice civilization. Our ancestors have been trying to teach them the laws of Ma'at. Our ancestors used the laws of Ma'at in their everyday practice in Egypt during the time of antiquity, ancient times. The laws of Ma'at is truth, justice, peace, love, and wisdom. That's what they practiced. The ancient Egyptians had no armies, nor jails. They didn't have any jails over there because they didn't have a corrupt government for people to break laws because the government was corrupt. If the citizens of Egypt and the ancient Egyptian who ran the government of ancient Egypt, those Melkite Coptic Egyptians, if they were corrupt, then the people living in the secular community in Egypt would have become corrupt. And then when the people in the secular community become corrupt, then they had jails to put them in. They didn't have any jails for that. The ancient Egyptians, our ancestors, had a near-perfect civilization and culture there in ancient Egypt. It's a prototype model for all races of people all over the world. The only literate people during the time of antiquity because they created and invented an alphabet. And the alphabet can only be created one time. That's it. You can get derivatives of that one alphabet. Like the chair. The chair can only be invented one time. But you can make a couch out of the chair by stretching it. And you call it a couch, but it's still a chair.
Yeah.
See? So you have to really understand and study the culture of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. This is what I want you guys to do. Akbar, I want you to do that. Brother Bartley, I want you to do that. Brother Ashra Ra, I want you to do that. You study your ancestors' culture and civilization. First, that's where you start.
Right on.
And that civilization began 10,000 BC. Okay? And when the Greeks came into Egypt under Alexander in 332 BCE, our ancestors had already developed a civilization and had it in place for 9,668 years before the Greeks ever came into Egypt. So civilization, when the Greeks came in to Egypt, was over with. I've heard Dr. John Henry Clark, he used to say that all the time. He said when the Greeks came into Egypt, civilization was over with. And it's true. Then you have to, now the ancient Egyptians is used to identify the black race as it's being used in history books. The black race is the African race. And the ancient Egyptian is in the forefront and used as a prototype to identify that African race that brought civilization and has the oldest civilization in the world. How can anybody ask you, how do you know that your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, had the world's first and oldest civilization? The answer is because they had the first writing system. No other race of people had an older writing system than your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. They created the world's first alphabet, making themselves a literate people. They were the only literate people walking this planet during the time of antiquity. The next oldest people is the brown race, identified as the Indians of India. In the Indus Valley came the Indian civilization, 2,500, not to exceed 3,000 B.C., second oldest civilization coming behind the ancient Egyptians. The third oldest is the Chinese civilization, beginning 1,500, not to exceed 2,000 B.C. And then you get to the Europeans. The Europeans will tell you he know no beginning history for themselves. They'll send you back to Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey. Homer is the 9th century Homer, 800 B.C. They say Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. That's mythology. That's a lie. You can't take mythology and apply it to a group or a race of people living in a geographical land area and say this is their beginning history. You can't use mythology for beginning history for nobody. But you have to understand that. That's how history is stacked. That's how it's produced today. So we have to know European history. We have to know a little of India's history. So when you meet Indians, he can't laud himself over. I'm great. He's not. No, your ancestors, nobody as great as your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, because everybody on earth is using the civilization that came out of their culture out of ancient Egypt.
That's right.
So I want you to remember that. Yes.
Doctor, I seen a video of you, an older video, where you saying that the hieroglyphics wasn't ever deciphered. So if the hieroglyphics were never deciphered, how do we know what the laws of Ma'at are?
You get that the laws of Ma'at was carried on by the Melkite Coptic Egyptians. The Melkite Coptic Egyptians, they ran the government of ancient Egypt. So when the Greeks came in, they were in charge. Today they would be called bourgeois. They would be your Condoleezza Rices and your Colin Powells and the Clarence Thomases and all those type of people up in the high echelon of the government of ancient Egypt. And when Ptolemy, after Alexander died, Ptolemy I took over the rule of Egypt. Okay? And after he took over the rule of Egypt, because the Coptic Egyptians did not accept his image as a god, he closed down all the temples throughout Egypt, which included the school system, because he wanted his image to be put into the temples to be worshipped alongside of Osiris. That didn't happen. See? So he closed down all the school systems there. And your point is, what did you ask me?
So this Coptic Egyptians passed down the laws of Ma'at.
So
where is it?
Okay.
Where is it?
Where is it what?
Where is it written at?
Okay,
in their
Go ahead.
Where is it written at in their literature where they carried on the laws of Ma'at into the time of the Byzantine Empire and then into the day where we have that, but it's in English, but I've never seen anyone show it in any other language.
Okay.
Writings.
Okay. Now, all right. Listen to this, Brother Akbar. When Ptolemy Ptolemy I, like he, called Soter, the word S-O-T-E-R means Savior. When he closed down all the temples after being refused in those temples to allow his image to come in, to be put and worship in those temples alongside Osiris. Closed those down, and he did not allow any members of the secular Coptic Egyptian community to build any type of building structures. They had to use their homes to continue to teach their children and to set up homeschooling and spiritual fellowship. I want you to understand that. However, there was a temple in Memphis, Egypt, that the priests and priestesses used the combination of Osiris and Apis, the bull representative of Ra, and came out with, after this amalgamation of the two names, came out with Osiris and gave that name Serapis, Osiris, or Serapis to the Ptolemy to try to make him a god. That means that the name that they gave him, Serapis or Osiris, had the attributes of Osiris. They gave him the attributes of Osiris. And when he was still refused by the temple system, he closed down all the temples throughout Egypt except the one in Memphis, Egypt, that made his image into a god. Okay? So, but now the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, who are your Uncle Toms of antiquity, he allowed them to have a building to continue the culture of the ancient Egyptians. Okay? And then, follow me what I'm saying now. He allowed them to have this building, and in that building they continued to the continuation of the ancient Egyptian history and writings, because they had papyrus and other documents in the buildings that were allowed by the Greek Ptolemy to the Melkite Coptic Egyptians. And when the Hagia Sophia was built, that was the new headquarters for the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, and they housed all of that in all those documents, all those books on papyrus in the culture of the ancient Egyptians into the Hagia Sophia. And they continued the use of certain laws and rituals of their ancestors. And in those laws that they continue, was the law of Me'at. That's where you get that continuation. And when the Hagia Sophia was transferred, the seat of Christianity was transferred into Europe, I told you, in 1439 by John VIII, going to the Florence, Italy. It's a curia there to transfer that seat of Christianity, which is in the Hagia Sophia. That Eugenius IV and Nicholas V, over the catacombs, built and dug up all those graves to build the foundation for the Vatican, and they built St. Peter's Church in 1445. And today that St. Peter's Church is called St. Peter's Basilica. And they went in before the Ottoman Turks under Muhammad II, who took a cannon and blew a hole in the double-walled city of Constantinople and entered Constantinople and seized the seat of Christianity and seized the Hagia Sophia. Prior to that, these Europeans was taking boatloads of material out of the Hagia Sophia of our ancestors. Today, over in the Vatican, they have a Coptic library and a Coptic museum displaying those things I just mentioned. That's how you get it today.
So, then if that's so, and they were in there, and they still knew the hieroglyphics, and they carried away books. I'm quite sure they carried away some of them priests with them too. Why couldn't why that they didn't learn the hieroglyphics? Did they kill the priests, or because it seems like
no. Stop. The hieroglyphics had been in disuse for many, many years before the Greeks came in there by the ancient Egyptians. They began to use a hieratic demotic alphabetical system. The hieroglyphic symbols, which are, you have to draw them. They're too clumsy and cumbersome to write with or draw with to communicate a message to the next person. They stopped. That was out of use way before the Greeks came in there. When the Greeks came in there, our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, were using a hieratic demotic phonetic alphabet to write with. So when they came in there and they forced the Greek language on our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, by our ancient Egyptian ancestors being a literate people, they learned that Greek language and they applied the hieratic demotic alphabet to the Greek language. Today, that alphabet is called the Greek alphabet. The Greeks never had an alphabet, but it was the language that our ancestors applied, the Greek language that our ancestors applied their alphabet to it. And it's called by way of misnomer of Greek alphabet. So that what you're saying is historically incorrect, because prior to the Greeks coming into that, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, stopped using the system of the hieroglyphics.
Okay, so they took the hieroglyphic symbols before it stopped being used and used the new writing to store the information, is what you're saying. Because we still know about
Go ahead.
We still know about they're telling us these are the laws of Ma'at anyway. But if they took that information and changed it over to the new writing as that one was dying and preserved that Egyptian history in this one place you said that they gave them, then the hieroglyphics were saved inside the new writings that they the new alphabet and all this stuff that they created, right or wrong?
No, here, Brother Akbar, I told you how Ma'at. You asked me about Ma'at. How did it come from ancient times to the present time of today, right? I gave you
it preserved.
I gave you a history of that. I gave you a progression of history for that. It was the Melkite Coptic Egyptians.
Okay. Well, I heard you say the Malachite Coptic Egyptian priests had a building. Let me get it right. That they preserved their culture in. So if they preserved their culture in that building, they had to preserve some of them. Even if they changed the writings, the alpha from the cumbersome hieroglyphics into the new writing system. Did they have all this information in the new writing system?
I didn't tell
or
you that.
Not?
You got the wrong understanding of that. I told you that the hieroglyphics had been out of use for many years in Egypt. Many years. Okay? That the school system, they created in the school system, in the temples, sacred temples of ancient Egypt, they began to use a new alphabet, an alphabet that is phonetic. See, in fact, if you ask me how do you spell pseudepigrapha, I said, Brother Akbar, use your phonetics, how it sounds to you. So they use, they learned the Greek they learned the Greek language, and by the sound of the Greek language that they learned, they applied an alphabet to it. Okay, it has nothing to do with the hieroglyphics. The hieroglyphics was out of use way before the Greeks came in there. Including some of the Coptic Egyptians over there didn't understand them because they had been out of use. You see? So,
but a lot of the Ma'at, the stuff that we see, that they were the symbols they show us on the walls and everything over there in Egypt from the pictures and everything that we see, because I've never been to Egypt. but from what they show us from them symbols and that they have there, if they died, the symbols died, how do we know that this thing is even named Ma'at or any of them 42 negative confessions are accurate in it?
Let's stick with Ma'at. I told you how Ma'at is continued on from as using the progression of history to do that from time to time, from year to year, up until the present day. I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
See, but if you want to believe what you want to believe, then there's nothing I can do about that.
No, it's not that what I want to believe is that I'm trying to see how did we still get these laws and it was a dead language, even though they transmitted them into the.
What language are you talking about?
I'm talking about the writings, the hieroglyphic writings. If it was a language, a symbol writing,
they were pictorial symbols.
Yeah.
It wasn't a writing. They were pictorial symbols to convey something. A message was conveyed by symbols. If you don't know the symbols, you cannot put an alphabet to it. Or you cannot, see symbols, you cannot put an alphabet to it. You have to explain the meaning of the symbols if you know the meaning of it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that? Symbols
yes.
are not, don't confuse, I told you this before, don't confuse an alphabet with a language. An alphabet is used to write a language, to write languages, not the reverse. Okay? The symbols that we know today as the hieroglyphics, used at one time during the time of antiquity by our African ancient Egyptian ancestors in Egypt, were out of use for many, many years, way before the Greeks ever came into Egypt. In my both books, I have an alphabet chart in there. It says Egyptian, and I'll show you there's 3 lines or 3 sections under Egyptian. One, the first one to the far left is the hieroglyphic symbols going all the way down. The second and third is your hieratic demotic alphabet. And the next one is the Greek. Next one is the Latin. Next one is the Hebrew, and so forth and so on. Showing you how it modulated from time to time. Ma'at came out of the preservation of the Greeks allowing the Melkite Coptic Egyptians to have a building where they can house their ancestors' knowledge and continue that knowledge all the way until it got to the Hagia Sophia. From the Hagia Sophia, it went into the Vatican. And that's where it comes out today, in the Vatican. They got a Coptic museum and a Coptic library, housing all of that. Because they came into Egypt and they took boatloads of stuff out of the Hagia Sophia before Mohammed II, before the Hagia Sophia fell to the Ottoman Turks. And I can't explain no better than that. But if you want to go off into another, if this confuses you, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't help it.
It doesn't confuse me. All I'm trying to figure out, then they still have some of the knowledge of the ancient Egyptians in the Vatican.
Of course, I said it created a Coptic museum and a Coptic library that they housed. They came into the Hagia Sophia where all this knowledge of the ancient Egyptians were housed in the Hagia Sophia and took boatloads out of it and took it back to the Vatican on the outskirts of Rome and housed it and created a Coptic museum and a Coptic library. And today, you cannot get in that library. They have rules for you to get in. Everybody can't walk in that library and take what they want out of it. No, you have the rules to get into the Coptic library in Rome, in the Vatican. Is that one, you have to have a letter introducing yourself from a recognized institution that the Vatican recognized as a valid institution. That's number one. After receiving this letter, you have to have residency in Rome for a year. So after you stay there a year, you can go to the Vatican with this letter and with your residency proof of year's stay over there and present it. And then they're going to ask you, what are you looking for? What materials are you looking for? And you tell them what you're looking for. And they'll ask you, why are you looking for this? What is your reason for looking for this? Third, they're going to ask you, what are you going to do with it after you find it?
That's a lot of questions.
Right. You understand that? And then they will allow you in there and direct you to the place where you most likely will find the literature that you're looking for. And once you get this, what you're looking for, you write it down on the paper, and you take it back up and let them see what you're taking out of there. That's the only way you're going to get it in and get out. That's it. See?
Do you know anybody who ever been inside there?
No.
Astro, do you have any questions before we finish up tonight?
That was a quick no, Dr. Williams, wasn't it?
Quick what, Astro?
that was a quick no. You don't know anybody who's gone through the level of screening in order to get access to the African artifacts.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that's this information that you touched on before, and I've just gone through searching and found through different scholars as well that they've confirmed the fact that there's so much of the African scriptures and artifacts and the documents that have been looted from our temples that are being kept from us and from the rest of the world community. And you've just further confirmed just the level of scrutiny that anyone who's searching for truth and for answers has to go through in order to get through the Vatican cultural thieves in order to get access to what is actually our birthright.
That's correct. Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. You see? So you have to understand what has happened to us as a people. You have to understand what happened to our ancient Egyptian ancestors. That's what I say. You have to study ancient Egypt to get yourself a good foundation. And this is what the school system that we in the United States of America has been taught away from. They don't want us to know that. Okay? So they want to taunt us and say, well, we put you in slavery. You are inferior. They are the ones that are inferior, not us. Okay? All you got to do is claim your ancient Egyptian ancestry, and white supremacy is over with. It's over. And stay out of these damn churches, worship his image on the cross, and worship him, calling him God, your Savior. You won't be washed in the blood of Jesus and all that foolishness. This is what I'm saying. Because there's a lot out here you have to learn and know. And you have to study the European. You have to study his history. His history starts when Alexander came into Egypt in 332. Prior to that, they have no history for the Europeans. So you couldn't create no institutions over in Europe. You have to understand that. So when I tell you something about something, that means I have studied it and researched it for years.
Yes, sir.
That don't mean that I'm right now.
No, but nobody.
Nor does it mean that I know everything.
So far, nobody's challenged you. Nobody challenged you because the information is too deep. You see, that's why they don't challenge you, because, the European would love to find a glitch in your information so that he could ridicule you, but he's afraid to attack you.
Okay.
Because you have the facts.
I hope I do, yes.
So, I mean, just like other people, he come after them. If their information is not correct, he shoot them down. But I noticed even some of the reviews on YouTube, the European never says anything negative about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll be checking stuff out.
Yeah. They have
never.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
A whole lot of them is reading. I think more Europeans is reading the books than we are.
You're right. You know why? You hit the nail on the head. Brother Bartlett, let me tell you this. Every month, I sell 2 cases of Christianity books and 1 case of Islam. They're reading it. And,
yes.
And who's buying these books? It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and 2 other distributors. They're reading it.
Yeah, they're reading it. We coming up short again because they dissecting it, and they're gonna be putting out information similar to what you're doing. They're not going to plagiarize it altogether, but they're going to come out with information that's like, you know, this is their information. They putting it out there. They putting the truth out there. So. Well,
you see, here's the thing about it. They can't do that anymore. They got to come with the truth now. In 1999, in the Metro section of the Sun-Times newspaper in Chicago, they reopened, after remodeling, a museum on the campus of the University of Chicago. Okay, the Oriental Institute and Museum, which houses ancient Egyptian artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
And when they wrote an article about the reopening after 2 years of remodeling, and in that article they had little-known facts about Egypt. One, it says, even though scholars may search, there is no evidence of a Moses being in Egypt. This is what I've been saying years before 1999. They also went on to say 10 plagues did not come against Egypt. 3, they said that Exodus never happened in Egypt. 4, they say slaves did not build the pyramid. See, that came out one time. They're not going to blast it in the newspaper all year and all that kind of stuff. It came. If you don't get it then you won't get it. But I got it. It was meant for me to have. In the year 2000, S. David Sperling, a rabbi who teaches at the Hebrew Union College in New York, wrote a book called The Original Torah. In the original Torah, he said there's never been an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Esau, David, Solomon, or Joshua. Never existed. Put all that in there. See, never been Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, Solomon, Joshua. And I go on to say that every name that's in the Bible, every character name, 99 and every name that's in the Bible never walked the earth as human beings. And this is what he's saying. So he's coming out and telling you. So all the black Hebrew Israelites, they're left with their pants down because they said they came from the blood of Abraham. This rabbi who wrote this book and teaches at the Hebrew Union College said there's never been an Abraham. So how can you come from the blood of Abraham when the Jews are saying there's no Abraham? How can Moses be the one that created the religion called Judaism when they say there is no Moses? Moses has to float down the Nile River. Without Moses floating down the Nile River, there's no Moses, because that's the foundation of Moses. And they said that he wrote and created a religion called Christianity. That makes Christianity collapse, because you got to have a foundation for the religion called Judaism. You see? So if they say there's no Exodus and no 10 plagues brought against Egypt and slaves did not build the pyramid, that shuts the mouth of all these old Negro preachers around here talking about and the old Pharaoh had the Jews in bondage and all that other kind of stuff. That makes all that a lie.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews every year practice a Passover predicated on the Exodus, that the slaves built the pyramids, who was Jews, fled Egypt, got to the Red Sea folded back to dry land, and they went across over into Canaan. That's the lie. So now you got to have a Joshua, and they said Joshua wanted 40 years and 40 days until he came up on the promised land. See? So that makes that story a lie. That makes the Passover collapse. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So you
well,
have to,
I tell you.
So you have to really study to know what's happening out here. But when you study, you got to retain this stuff. Understand what you're retaining. Understand what you're reading. If I tell you the hieroglyphics never been deciphered, that's it. I have a reason for that. I'm not going to come out here on the seat of my pants, out here and running out here on the world stage and talking to stuff what I believe. People don't give a damn what Walter Williams believes. What is your fact?
Right. They want the facts.
Right. What are the facts? This is what we have to go by. I invited a guest to come into the on the Blog Talk show this evening. I was wondering if Brother Elijah.
Is the number their phone number starts with a 501? 301 area code?
No, it's a 773 area code.
I don't think anyone's in there. Is someone in here with 1111 is cell phone? Hello, caller. Would you like to ask the doctor a question? Caller?
Yes. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, I just wanted to say to my brother Williams, this is Brother Elijah calling in. I just wanted him to know I called in.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying this show.
I told him I had invited a guest, Brother Elijah, and I called your name. So you're there, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
I'm enjoying the show, Mad Hotep.
Mad Hotep. I'm glad you are. And thanks for being my guest.
Question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You want to ask the doctor before I mute you?
What'd you say?
Brother Elijah asked you, did you have any questions for me?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say that I've been knowing Brother Williams for a while, and a while meaning probably about 10 years, and
right.
He never ceases to amaze me. He does incredible study, and I have his books, and he's given me some tapes, and I enjoy learning from him, and because it helps me to increase my consciousness. And what I like about him most is that he continues to study, and he continues to call himself a student as well, which means he's humble, which means he's going to continue to learn. And I'm just very, very happy to be able to receive the wisdom that is coming through the brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And appreciate you calling in, too, my brother.
Yes, sir. Mad Hotep.
Have a good
Mad
Hotep.
Okay.
Caller with the area code 5, last 4 digits, 5582. Would you like to say something? Okay, that caller doesn't want to say anything.
Hello?
There he is.
For a while.
There he is. Hello.
Oh. Hello?
Go ahead,
Hello?
caller.
Hey. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. How you guys doing? This is Brother Larry from Washington, D.C.
Hey, how you doing?
How you
Good.
doing,
I have two questions. You mentioned way back capitalists. Can you explain who and what these capitalists of Europe were and are?
The capitalists are known as Jews today by way of money, not religion, but by way of being a capitalist. If you notice, Jews and Zionists are all connected to money. When you talk about Jews, money is around. See, so you have to understand a capitalist being a Jew, not religious Jew, but nicknamed a Jew by way of being a capitalist. You see, now Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, was a capitalist, right?
Yes.
Hello?
Right.
Yes.
So therefore,
Yes.
but he didn't practice a religion called Judaism because he was a Baptist Christian. But he was a capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
He was married into the family of the Rothschild banking family.
Oh, didn't know that.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So now, what's your other question?
The other question regarding the book "Come by Day and Night," called "The Book of the Dead."
Yeah, E. Wallace Budge. You're coming forth by day and night, the Book of the Dead. What about it?
I see a lot of comparisons where they say, like today, they say, the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews, after their prayers, they say Amen or Amen. And they say that in the time of antiquity of Egypt, Amun was a deity, or they would use something else to is it that the religious folks are trying to connect and place themselves in antiquity, or is it all mythology? And that's my last question.
It's a combination of that. In other words, they're trying to control in their Western institution our ancestors' culture and civilization, being the ancient Egyptians. The Book of the Dead, coming forth by day and night, written by E.A. Wallace Budge. E.A. Wallace Budge was a student of Adolf Ehrman. Adolf Ehrman, in 1880, was the first one to come out with the grammatical dictionary of the hieroglyphs. 1880. In 1924, he revised that dictionary, grammatical dictionary of the hieroglyphs. 1935, they revised it again. You see? So that's where E.A. Wallace Budge is getting his grammatical ideas from, because from Adolf Ehrman, who was a German scholar and who was the curator of the Berlin Museum of Ancient Egyptian Antiquity. You see? And his teacher was another German scholar, and this is where Adolf Ehrman studied from. And so you'll find, if you study that over there, what I'm about to say, he was a student of Adolf Ehrman was a student of Carl Richard Lepsius, another German scholar. His name eluded me, but I got it back. So anyway, he was the one. Adolf Ehrman was the one in this book, the dictionary, the first grammatical dictionary of the hieroglyphs came out in 1880. That's where the foundation of all of this supposed understanding of the hieroglyph is coming from, up to this very day. See, Gardiner has got a book, Egyptian grammar book. That's what these scholars today is learning out of that book. You see, but Gardiner was nothing but an extension of Adolf Ehrman, the grammatical dictionary of the hieroglyph. See, the Western academia, in order to control Egypt and the culture of the ancient Egyptians, they had to institutionalize it. So they had to, they didn't understand those symbols. They still don't understand because they've never been deciphered. You see? You have to ask, in order for anybody, in the race creator cause to understand those symbols, you have to ask the ancient Egyptian who drew those symbols what he or she meant for them to be. The Europeans began to put an alphabet to symbols. You can't do that. Symbols cannot be alphabetized. You have to know the meaning of the symbol and explain the meaning of the symbol if you know the meaning of it. Like when you took your driver's test, you was tested in three things: rules of the road, eyesight, and symbols. When you got to the symbols part, they didn't actually put no alphabet to it. They asked you the meaning of that symbol before you passed the test. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, is that correct?
Correct.
So therefore, what they tried to do is to take them into the institution, and they walk around and say, I'm an Egyptologist. You see? But now Adolf Ehrman, those Germans over there, created a system, which is a grammatical system, using the Rebus system. And I'm bringing the Rebus system out in my book. My new book is coming out. And I'm saying that the hieroglyphics, again, I'm putting an extension on that. Why the hieroglyphics have never been deciphered. And I'll talk about the Rebus system that they use over there to call themselves deciphering the hieroglyphics. So that's be my answer, you know.
Okay, well, last question. When is your book coming out? That's what we want to know.
Hey. Well, my wife and I, we working on it daily. And see, it's a hard, difficult subject. The last chapter in the book is going to be on dispelling, exposing the Sumerian cuneiform myth, exposed, which is a very hard, difficult subject to research. Now, what's delaying this book? We have, especially my wife, she's doing that. She's been 3 years doing this research on the Sumerian and the cuneiform. You see, so when we put it in the book, it's going to be right, because what we're doing is exposing Western academia. In the book, first chapter is the repudiation of the Hyksos. The second chapter is a warning to all African scholars, teachers, and intellectuals. Do not use the chronology of ancient Egypt, because the chronology of ancient Egypt was created by the Europeans using the Bible to do so. Our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, never wrote a chronology or a history of themselves. If you repudiate what I'm saying, then you produce one. So I'll present 5 different chronologies. All have 5 different dates. And the first chronology that I printed is from a book from 1867. They say the first king of Egypt was Mesram. Oh, they made a mistake when they said that, because Mesram is the son of Ham. And Ham is one of the sons of the 3 sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham, Shem, and Japheth makes up what is known as the family and table of nations in the Bible. Mesram is the son of Ham, also known and called Egypt in the Bible. You see, all this is, I'm bringing all that out. You see? And then the third chapter is repudiating the biblical Persians, because the Persians is connected to the chronology of ancient Egypt. I'm repudiating all that. And the fourth chapter is I'm adding to why the Meta-Natural hieroglyphics has never been deciphered. And we're going to talk about the Rebus system and things like that, and what they have done to call themselves deciphering the hieroglyphics. I'm exposing all of that. And then the fifth one, which is a very important subject, because it has been baffling our African community for years, and no one has taken on the challenge but me and my wife, exposing the cuneiform and the Sumerians, exposing them. That and we're still putting this together from her research notes and so forth and so on. So it's going to be soon. So hang in there with me. When this book come out, boy, you're all going to you're going to get an earful, an eyeful.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, do you have any tapes out, or you thinking about putting any tapes out?
Well, I got to finish this book first. I got DVD lectures I've been doing, around the country over the years, But I got to finish this book first, and I go into my next project.
Okay.
The book is the main thing right now.
Are you coming to the Power Talk in D.C.?
What's that now?
Are you coming to the Power Talk they're having here in D.C. in June that Carl Nelson is hosting?
No, he haven't invited me. I've been on his program every month,
Oh, well, they need to invite you.
Okay, well, he hasn't invited me. If you call him and tell him, say, why don't you invite Walter Williams to the Power Conference?
Okay. I get with the guys on the phone, and we'll march over there and demand that they have you show up in June.
That's right. Be on the outside with your placards. We demand to have Walter Williams come to be out there, make noise, the cameras be on you.
I think I'll come to D.C. for that. I'll come to D.C.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call Carl and ask him anyway about that conference.
But I think I have a reason why they don't invite you to things, because you tell the truth. You're not hiding anything or holding nothing back.
Mm-hmm.
And like you guys were saying earlier, a lot of people, they don't want to know the truth. They claim that they want to know it, but then when they hear it, they deny it, they get frustrated, they start arguing and dismissing a lot of stuff. So a lot of it is the fear of a person like a Dr. Walter Williams, because he's going to rattle too many things. And a lot of guys on the panel, they're going to look foolish after he talks.
Well, who's supposed to be on that panel,
Brother Dick Gregory, James Smalls, Cress Welsing. Who else? Dr. Leonard Jeffries, I think, is coming. Booker T. Coleman, Umar Johnson. I think that's it. That's it. That's about it.
Okay.
So, if you get up there, then because
they'll be out of a job. They'll be out of a job.
Right.
No more.
Well, see, ASCAC. You heard of ASCAC?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, they despise me.
Wow.
Because when I came out, there's never been a man that walked in every uniform and been race killed by the name of Jesus Christ. I stepped on a whole lot of toes. I didn't know I was stepping on toes. ASCAC, those guys were staunch Christians.
Wow.
Right.
Okay. My very dear brother, Asa Hilliard, whom I had a lot of respect for, he was a Christian.
Mm.
Jacob Carruthers was a Christian. And Zinger,
so was Dr. Ben.
Well, I don't know about that. But
John Henry
Zinger.
Clark.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Williams, Dr. Ben claimed to be a Jew.
Okay.
Right. What a lot of people didn't see. They had his funeral in Reverend Butt's church in New York, and right over top of the funeral, right over top of the casket, up in the stained glass, was a big picture of white Jesus over top of him.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how. And then all the people, and I was just talking about this today, that's been calling his name, getting money on him, selling DVDs, talking about they did students and everything, couldn't even get up the money to pay for his funeral. Al Sharpton had to pay for it out of his pocket.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
So all the people that selling DVDs and screaming Dr. Ben, they student nothing, couldn't even put the man out of life, what he represented.
Right.
Egyptology. And it was a bunch of ASCAP. It was a bunch of ASCAP members there. And it's really the trap that they had to fall back on Al Sharpton to pay for it out of their pockets. And all these people were making videos, bringing money to Dr. Ben, about they collect for Dr. Ben and everything. And it's a lot of people out here today just selling DVD. And like they said, their career will be over if they embraced your knowledge. I mean, they will be over. And
right.
And, you know, people talk on the telephone a lot, you know, and I know you can be abrasive at times, but I still.
Who's
I still love you.
I love you too, brother. Bob, I want you to do better. Okay.
A lot of information out here, and they're flooding us with information, Doc, and it's you know, it's confusing. It's hard to keep all of it in your head, period. And
no,
you're right. If you right.
Who you going to study with?
That's what I'm saying. If we're going to do, I got to lead the other stuff.
Who do you want to study with, Brother Akbar?
Well, I'm going to have to concede to the and I got to study with you, and I got all confused.
Who do you want to study with?
I'm going to study with you, Doc.
Okay, but don't study with nobody else. That's where confusion come in.
You gotta lighten up. Brother.
Gotta do what?
You hurt my feelings, Doc.
Well, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I hope I hurt your feelings to make you change. You know, when I used to be in the Deuce Harbor High School band, Captain Dodge, the band leader, they used to curse us out. We make a mistake. Hurt your feelings. Tell you bring your mom up to school. Okay,
right.
You used to take a baton and bust you over your knuckles.
Yeah,
okay?
you made me think you was my 94-year-old father. I was talking to the other day.
Hell, I'm your 84-year-old father. But I want you to listen, Akbar, Brother Akbar. I'm doing that because I love you. I want you to do right and be right, and when you come out here, I want you to be right. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love you.
But see, I'm not trying to be the Ray Hagans and taking your information and not giving you any what's that. I'm trying to bring you on here so you can tell the people. But you know, I apologize if I wasn't on point and everything. But I got to get on point, and I'm gonna try my best to get on point with your information.
But
so
you told me that before. You told me that before, Akbar.
But Doc, let me tell you this.
There's always a but go ahead.
You spent years unraveling this stuff. We just getting your book. You spent 40 years doing this. You just don't learn this stuff. It's a lot of dates, a lot of names, stuff you never heard before.
It's okay, but you have to retain what is being taught to you. Because I teach in a system. I teach you by way of progression of history, by way of progression of the subject that we are on. See? I give you the foundation of that subject. And you have to remember the dates and the times, the places, the events of that subject. That's all I ask you to do. But you go out here, you're going to butt me. Don't butt me. That means that you don't understand what I'm saying. I used to tell my granddaughter the same thing. I said, well, now so-and-so, so said, well, yeah, I hear you, but. No, that means that you didn't hear me because you butted me. See? So anytime somebody said but, that's it. Uh-oh. They don't understand. So if you're going to study with Walter Williams, you do just that. And study until you get a foundation, a concept of what is being put out here before you. That's what I had to do. But I had no teacher. I had to teach myself. I had a white cane with a red tip on it and a dog, pecking my way through history until I could be able to understand the concept and the layout of what they were doing out here. You see that? I've invested thousands of dollars into books, thousands of hours that I didn't take any vacations or anything like that because I'm studying for my people. It's for you, not for me. I can stay at home where I live at right now and not come out of my house and say, the hell with the African community. But I can't do that. I love my people. You're suffering. I know you're suffering. I know how you're suffering and why you're suffering. So if I have some information to try to liberate you, which I can't liberate you, you have to do it yourself. I can only give you the information. If I give you the information, you can use that information and you can liberate your own self. I can't do it for you. Okay? So this is all I'm saying. I don't mean to be harsh, but sometimes you have to be harsh. Or you walk away saying, I cut it loose. I'm going on about my business.
Yes, sir. So, Doc, give them your information and your website again before we sign out.
You can email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. ancientegyptian@msn.com.
Hello?
And yeah, he's there. You said Ancient Egyptians?
ancientegyptian@msn.com. What did I say, Brother Akbar?
Yes. Okay, then that's where you can get Dr. Williams' books.
Repeat that. Repeat what I said.
You said MSN Egyptians, Ancient Egyptians at MSN.com.
Ancient Egyptian, not S. Don't put an S on it. Ancient Egyptian at MSN.com.
Yes. Okay.
And, I'm the author of 2 books, Historical Origin of Christianity, Historical Origin of Islam. The Christianity book has been out for 22 years, selling all over America, in the UK, in the Caribbean, and other English-speaking countries. Historical Origin of Islam has been out for 11 years now. 12 years, I'm sorry. It's selling the same way. So it's out there. I don't make no living selling books. So don't think that I'm making a living selling books. No. The information is for one racial group, and that's Africans. You can use my books, what's in the book, to try to liberate yourself. I can't liberate you. I can give you the information to help you liberate yourself. You got to do the rest.
Okay, well, this has been another episode of Wake Up African People, and we'll hope that the doctor will bless us again with his presence. And we all want to say good night to you. And this has been a learning experience. Good night.
Good night. Mayat Hotep.
Mayat Hotep.
Mayat Hotep, my brother.